Okay, welcome back everyone. We will move to the next session, which is the session on contributed talks. We have 5 talks today, so I just want to remind everyone that the papers associated with the talks are already available on our website, so you can check this out. And we'll directly jump in our first talk, which is given by Mosleh. So Mohsen, perhaps you can already share your screen. So Mohsen is a research scientist at MIT Sloan School of Management, and the title of his talk is Reducing Inaccurate Information on Social Media. Great, it works. So the stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure talking to this crowd. Great to see everyone. So without further ado, let's get started on the material for today. So what I'm going to talk about today is a topic on understanding and reducing the spread of misinformation online. I'm going to talk about this pressing issue in today's society, that is the negative impact of social media on public discourse. There's been a great deal of concern currently with regard to the societal impacts of social media and potential threats social media can pose to our democracy and society. One main area of concern with regard to the negative impact of social media on public discourse is in terms of fundamentally low quality information online and the potential of social media to facilitate the spread of misinformation. My research, what I'm interested to do is to understand why do people fall for low quality content online and what we can do about it. My research, I use the lens of cognitive science, considering people's decision-making as arising from 2 different modes of information processing. People may stop and carefully think about the piece of information they receive, or they just go with their intuitive gut responses and intuitions. We expect people relying more versus less in analytical thinking will demonstrate different behavior on social media. In order to measure the extent to which people rely on their intuition versus analytical thinking, I use the cognitive reflection test, which is a set of questions with compelling intuitive but wrong answers. For example, if you're running a race and you pass the person in second place, what place are you in? The immediate answer that comes to mind for many people is first place. But think about it for a second. If you pass the person in second place, you are in second place. Questions like this captures the extent to which you say the first thing that comes into your head versus stopping and carefully think about it before you say something. In order to investigate the relationship between people's cognitive style and the quality of content they shared on social media, I devised a hybrid lab field experiment. On one hand, I ran a survey on more than 2,000 Twitter users and asked them to do the CRT, and I also asked for their Twitter handle, and used that in order to retrieve information from their public profile on Twitter, including the content they shared on the platform. In order to quantify the quality of content they shared on the platform, I use a list of 60 domains, where for each domain, we have a fact checker's trustworthiness rating as part of a previous study. This list contains 20 mainstream, 20 hyperpartisan, and 20 fake news websites. We then collected all tweets and links shared by the users and matched them up with a list of 60 domains. More than 700 of users in our subject pool shared some stuff from those 60 domains, with more than 11,000 tweets being shared from that set of domains. What I'm going to show you is the relationship between users' average CRT score and fact checkers' trustworthiness rating for each domain. And I'm going to show you this analysis at the domain level. The size of the dots here represents the number of observations per each domain. As you can see, we found a positive and significant relationship between users' average CRT and fact checkers' trustworthiness rating. That is, users who rely more on analytical thinking are more likely to share content from higher quality websites. Because this data set is mostly collected for the UK, you can see high CRT users share content from BBC, whereas those who rely more on their intuition sharing the stuff from Daily Mail. This effect is robust controlling for a variety of demographic factors, including political partisanship, education, and income. So the main takeaway from this study is that lack of careful thinking might lead people to share low quality content. If that's the case, perhaps we can make users think before they share in order to make the quality of content they share on the platform. To test this idea, we built an online field experiment. We created an army of bots identified as politically neutral cooking bots who share stuff about food, recipe, and famous chefs. We used this set of bots in order to follow more than 100,000 Twitter users who already shared low quality content. Particularly, they shared content from hyper-partisan low quality website, Whiteboard. More than 11,000 of these users followed us back, and more than 5,000 of these users were qualified to be in our experiment. That is, they had low probability of being bought, and we could estimate the political ideology for these users. Our intervention was a direct message to the users, asking them to rate the accuracy of a single non-political item. The goal here is to make the concept of accuracy top of mind for the users. When they go back to their newsfeed, they think about accuracy before they make the sharing decision. As you might guess, almost no one answered to these direct messages, but it's not an issue because as soon as they see the message, they are treated. Note that we are not using any normative language, things like accuracy is important. You have to take accuracy into account. All we are trying to do is just to make the concept of accuracy top of mind for the users. In order to quantify the quality of content users shared in our experiment, after receiving the message, we used the same list of 60 domains where for each user we had a fact checker's trustworthiness. For each domain, we had a fact checker's trustworthiness rating. What I'm going to show you here is the impact of our intervention. So we collected all tweets before and after receiving the message and quantified the quality of content. On the x-axis, I'm showing you the fact checker's trustworthiness rating for each domain. And on the y-axis, I'm showing you the change in relative tweet frequency before and after receiving the message. Again, the size of the dots is proportional to the number of observations we have for each domain. As you can see, we found a significant and positive impact of our intervention on quality of content users shared on the platform. After receiving the message, users shared proportionally more links from high quality mainstream news outlet and fewer number of links proportionally from hyper-partisan low quality content as rated by professional fact checkers. So what does that mean? Does it mean that we should all immediately get online and start yelling at anyone who shared misinformation? Not necessarily. In a follow-up experiment, we found people who shared misinformation. And then we use a set of experimental accounts, corrected the users directly and publicly on the platform by including a link to the fact-checking website, Snopes. But we found that, unlike the subtle accuracy nudge, direct public correction could increase sharing low quality, more partisan, and higher toxic content on the platform. This effect happens only to the retweets, not the retweets. Our observation is that this only happens to the retweets suggests that the effect is operating through the channel of attention, which is particularly constrained when making typically fast retweet decisions, rather than by modifying one's actual preferences, which are likely to be more strongly reflected by primary tweets composed by the users themselves. Rather than focusing attention on accuracy, it seems that being publicly corrected by another user directs attention away from accuracy, perhaps towards the various social factors that play things like embarrassment, for instance, in such a fundamentally social interaction. These studies suggest that people share misinformation because they forget to think about how accurate content is before they share it. The issue isn't necessarily that people are lazy thinkers in general. Instead, there is reason to believe that social media by design distracts us from accuracy by focusing our attention on social factors, things like how many posts you will get, how many comments you will make, and things like that. So even people who under normal circumstances think very carefully may wind up mistakenly sharing misinformation while online. But this also suggests that.
Sir, you have 1 minute. Can you wrap up? Yeah.
But this also suggests that platforms can change their design. Social media companies have the power to focus our attention on accuracy and help immunize against misinformation. With that, I would like to conclude and thank you so much, anyone, for listening. And these are like mainly from 3 studies that got published, one in Nature Communication, and Kai a few weeks ago. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to discuss any questions you might have. Thank you so much.